Okay. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to the next session of ours where we are discussing about the probes that we use in order to determine some DNA sequence, RNA sequence, or any kind of a diagnostic purpose. The main the main definitions that we learned yesterday is what do you mean by a probe? So, can anybody tell me what do you mean by a probe? What do you mean by probe? Can you guys type in the chat box? What do you mean by probe? Or you can unmute yourself and let me know. What do you mean by a nucleic acid probe? You can tell me anything that you know from yesterday's lecture. Yes, yes, Soumya, very correct. It's a small sequence of nucleotide bases which are labeled. Okay, so the definition is correct. Correct. The only thing is that yes, the small sequence of nucleotide bases which are labeled. Okay, so that is what make the nucleoacid probes very different than others because small sequence of nucleotide bases can also be called as primer, right? But we don't need a primer. Primers are just short sequences which are not labeled, which their duty is just to go and bind to the DNA so that further extensions can be taken, can take place, right? So that is what it is. So there are two types of probes that we have, short probe and the long probe. Okay, depending on how much length of the nucleotide you are targeting. And then there are their own advantages and disadvantages. Can you tell me any advantage of short probe? What is the advantage of short probe? And the advantage of long probe? Dhanashree, the specificity is for what? For which probe? Which type of probe? The specificity is an advantage. Come on, people, you cannot just forget what we learned. It's very simple.
Longer probe.
Yes, Pratibha, I can't hear you. It's very low. Your volume is very low.
Longer probe. Hello.
Can you please increase your volume? Yeah. Long probes hybridize more stably at high temperature. Yes, yes, Cheetal. So that means the long probes can provide us what? High specificity, right? And how about the short? What is the advantage of short probes? That we can do the hybridization in a very less period of time, maybe in within minutes. For long probes, we need hours or so to do the hybridization part. See, the main thing that you guys should remember about probes is that probes are generally designed, या फिर specifically they are designed in order to make sure that we can use them for some diagnostic purposes, right? If I want to detect a sequence on a DNA, if I have the complementary probe, then I can detect whether that particular sequence that I am looking for is present in that DNA or not, right? So, जैसे कि मैंने कल बोला था sickle cell anemia, if there is some mutation in the DNA for a sickle cell anemiatic patient, ठीक है, and I design a probe which can go and bind with that particular DNA which is mutated or something part of DNA which is mutated, then I can very easily identify whether that person has a sickle cell anemia or not. That is just an example I'm giving you. ठीक है. Probably that's not the appropriate procedure for detection of the sickle cell anemia. Generally, we use restriction fragment length polymorphism as a diagnostic test for sickle cell anemia. But I'm just telling you, with the help of one of the diseases, like how we can detect the any unknown sequence or known sequence, just to see whether that person, for that matter, if you can think about any disease such as cancer, where there are lots of mutation, and you want to find out where exactly the mutation is, so you can take the help of these probes and make sure that you are able to detect that particular sequence of DNA. So you must understand the use of that probe. Understand? So that you can understand whatever we are going to talk further about it, right? So we have seen all this yesterday, and we also saw like what all the labeling methods we have. Okay, how do we exactly label the DNA, or you generate the probes, right? So in that, first we had seen is nick translation. Nick translation is nothing but that we'll be making a cut, and we'll be filling that cut with the nucleotide which are labeled already. Okay. Then same way we also saw primer extension is nothing but we'll be using a small sequence of DNA which will be called as primer, and will allow those primer to be extended with the GNTPs which are labeled. Okay. So that way we can again denature the double-stranded DNA and get the probes which are labeled. Okay. Then end labeling of the DNA. In the sense, end part of the DNA we will be labeling with the radioactive phosphorus. So same, this is for the single-stranded DNA and this is for the double-stranded DNA. So you have so this is where we were yesterday. So you have this DNA which is double stranded, which you will digest with the restriction nuclease to give the 5 dash overhangs. Okay, eco R1. So eco R1 is nothing but it's a restriction enzyme which will cut the DNA at a specific site that can recognize. It's an enzyme. Okay. Eco R1 is nothing but an enzyme which is derived from restriction enzyme which is derived from a E. coli bacteria. Okay. So for now you just understand that we used Eco R1 in order to cut the DNA and make this overhang. You see this AATT, this TTAA. These are the overhanging nucleotides, means they are free. They are not attached to any complementary basis. So we are going to use this overhangs to attach the labeled nucleotide over here. Okay. So eco R1 generally creates, या फिर restriction enzymes generally creates cuts the DNA in such a way that some of the sequences will be hanging in there. Okay. So this hanging sequences, then we can use with the help of labeled DNTPs या फिर labeled one of the nucleotide. ठीक है, अगर तुम्हें सिर्फ A को ही label करना है तो that kind of a nucleotide you can just label it and allow them to hybridize, and this sequences will be complemented by the labeled nucleotide that you have in your reaction tube. Okay. So this is how it is. So you see now the end of the DNA, that overhangs that we had got through restriction enzymes are now complemented with the nucleotide which are already been uh, labeled. Okay. So restriction nucleus cleavage at internal site to give the different size of the fragments. So again, further, after you get this overhangs which are being complemented by the labeled nucleotide, you can again expose this particular DNA to make two different copies of DNA. Copies in the sense two different parts of the DNA, where again you can use a restriction enzyme where it will cut the DNA, and you can get one of the part of the DNA where overhang is labeled and another one where the overhang is labeled. So restriction enzyme कौन सा choose करते हैं उसके ऊपर से तुम्हें मिलेगा कि कितना cut वो DNA में we can have, and accordingly we can get the labeled and labeled DNA. ठीक है. So this is just one type of this thing, what you say, one type of a method which is used for what you say, labeling method which is used for getting the probes. Okay, so that is there. Then labeling of RNA. Okay, so we have by far seen three methods for labeling the DNA and now labeling the RNA because nucleic acid में दोनों भी आते हैं, right? DNA भी आता है and RNA भी आता है. So the preparation of labeled RNA probes, which are also called as riboprobes, is most easily achieved by in vitro transcription of insert DNA clone into cerebral plasmid vector. So basically, RNA probes are generated by target DNA which is inserted into a plasmid and then into a vector. So basically, when you have a vector with a plasmid DNA inside it, you will be able to get the RNA. So just know this much amount of part. I understand that chemistry people must be having a little bit difficult of a time, but basics, if you know the basic of what is the DNA, what is RNA, what do you mean by plasmid, what do you mean by vector, maybe it will be easy for you because I hope उतना तो तुम लोगों ने थोड़ा सा पढ़ा रहेगा. If not, we are anyways going to come back to the plasmid and the vector part. So plasmid is nothing but a DNA. It's a DNA. Plasmid nothing but a DNA where you can insert the DNA of your choice. Okay, so you can. It's very easy to work with the plasmid DNA where you can modify that plasmid DNA by inserting the DNA sequences या फिर the part of a DNA segment of a DNA which you desire to be clone into a vector. So generally कैसे रहता है? So you have plasmid DNA, ठीक है? Plasmid vector. So let me annotate. So you have a plasmid vector like this, and this is where is your DNA of interest is been incorporated. ठीक है? और ये अगर बैक्टीरिया में है, अगर if you can insert this plasmid DNA into the bacteria, I'm not going to write everything, so bacteria, you know that they can multiply themselves at a very high rate. So what is going to happen, the DNA of interest which I have inserted over here is also going to get multiplied at a very higher rate, right? And that is how we are generating insulin, right? By inserting this, but the sequence of DNA uh, which can produce the insulin into a plasmid vector and then allow those colony to get multiplied inside the bacteria so that we can get lots and lots of DNA insulin that is going to be produced by this DNA which we have cloned inside that vector. Okay, so I just wanted to tell you that part, like, just to make sure that you understand what you mean by plasmid, what you mean by vector. So the vector is designed so that adjacent to the multiple cloning site is a phage promoter sequence, which can be recognized by corresponding phage RNA polymerase. By using a mix of NTPs, high specific activity radio label transcripts can be generated. Labeled sense and antisense riboprobes can be generated from any gene cloned in such vectors and are widely used in tissue in situ hybridization. So basically, you have DNA template plus RNA polymerase plus labeled ribonucleotides, and then you get a labeled RNA probe. So this is what the simple reaction looks like. I will show you. So don't worry about this particular part, that what they have explained over here. This is little bit difficult to understand, but I can explain you through this diagram. So you have, this is what is your vector, and this is what your maybe the gene of interest that has been incorporated or cloned in this. And basically what you will be doing is you will be having a DNA template which is in the vector. Okay, so DNA template, then you have RNA polymerase, and you have labeled ribonucleotide. Okay, ribonucleotide everybody knows. Ribonucleotide is RNA nucleotide, right? ATGC के जगह पे क्या रहेगा? ATUG, right? No, the T is replaced by, so AUGC, right? So you'll be having those nucleotides, and you'll be having DNA, and you'll be having RNA polymerase. So it's just that with the help of the vector, where the DNA has been inserted, the DNA of interest is inserted. With the help of that DNA, you will be generating the numerous labeled RNA transcripts, okay, which will be labeled because the ribonucleotide that you are going to use, they are going to be labeled. The only thing that you are not going to use a DNA which is normal DNA, double-stranded DNA. The DNA that you are going to use to make this labeled transcripts is has to be the this particular suitable plasmid vector DNA where your DNA of interest is cloned inside this plasmid vector. Okay, so that is the only part you must know in this RNA labeling of RNA method for generating the transcripts which are labeled. Okay, so just memorize this part, DNA template plus RNA polymerase. So and then one thing you should remember is that DNA template has to be cloned in the plasmid vector. Okay, and then you generate, but then just add the RNA polymerase because we all know to make the transcripts we need what? RNA polymerase, and then we need labeled ribonucleotide which will give you labeled RNA probes. Okay, and labeled RNA probes then further can be used for the purpose of detection diagnostic method or something like that, where RNA probes can be utilized as one of the methods for detection of a protein of a particular DNA site or something like that. Okay, so the complementary things has to be there, the complementation has to be there. Okay, so there are various methods, so these are the various methods through which you will be getting the labeled probes. Okay, how will you exactly generate the sequence of DNA or RNA which will be labeled? Okay, so so this is where is the generation of the probes which will be labeled. But how exactly you label the probes? How do you label the probes? So that is also most important part. Okay, so you have probes that are labeled either by radio label, means like by radioactivity, non-radioactive labels, then chemiluminescence labels, then you have fluorescence, and then you have antibodies. Okay, so you can have the probes, that is small sequence of nucleotides, which could be either radio labeled, but they could be either non-radio labeled, or they can be chemically labeled, or they can be chemiluminescence in the sense the chemical which will have some reactions, produce some color, something like that. Then fluorescence, or it could be antibodies. So this is the most important task because when we are taking NTPs, DNTPs, या फिर adenine, guanine, etc. Those if we are thinking कि वो labeled है already. What do you mean by labeled? So they are either radio labeled, non-radio labeled, या फिर chemically labeled, या फिर fluorescently labeled, या फिर antibody labeled. But how exactly you are labeling them? That is what we are going to see right now. So radio labels. So probe nucleic acid can be labeled using radioactive isotopes, phosphorus, sulfur, iodine, and hydrogen. ठीक है, डिटेक्शन इज ऑटो रेडियोग्राफी और गेगर मुलर काउंटर. So generally will be so generally radio labeled जो रहते हैं they have a very different labs. For example, BARC over here in India, in Maharashtra at least. So we have BARC lab which handles this kind of radio labeled probes, and they are doing research in this particular area where they can uh, uh, because working with this radio labeled materials, uh, while doing that you must also know what is the protocol for discarding this kind of elements, right? So there are special procedures for that, so you cannot have a normal lab along with a radio labeled lab. I'm just telling you for this information. So there are different protocols for this. You have to handle radioactively labeled compounds very differently, and you have to make sure that you are disposal of these substances are done accordingly. And then for that you need overall a very different arrangement where this radioactively labeled compound can be reduced in intensity, and then they are okay for to disposed outside, where it will not hamper the environment and the community people where exactly we are having the lab, and it is not affecting environment in any way. So that has to be done. So, probe nucleic acid can be labeled using radioactive isotopes, and these are the radioactive isotopes we generally use to label the DNA or RNA. So, radio labeled probes used to be the most common type, but are less popular today because of the safety consideration. Very true, because you have to gear up like level 4 at biosafety level 4 for handling those isotopes. However, radio-labeled probes are the most sensitive. For example, phosphorus-labeled probes can detect single copy gene in only 0.5 milligram of DNA. So their specificity is very high, right? For us, this much amount of DNA, they can detect a single copy of gene, even if this in with such a small amount of DNA. Okay. See, whenever since we are not into the lab right now, so there are many experiments we might miss, but we are hoping that at least by October we can start the colleges so that we can continue with our experimentation. Before that, we should be able to by November at least we can start the experimentations. Before that, we'll finish up the theory part. Okay. So since we are talking about 0.5 milligram of DNA, so you must be wondering like how can we measure the DNA into milligrams, right? So measuring of the DNA into the milligram is nothing but that you will be extracting the DNA. Okay. And while once you're done extraction with the extraction of the DNA part, you get a little pellet at the bottom of the your append of tube, yeah, for your this centrifuge tube. That is the DNA palette, and you actually go and measure that palette. And that is how you come to know that how much milligram of DNA I'm getting from a starting product, that starting substance that I use to extract the DNA. So generally in your syllabus, we have DNA extraction from pudina leaves. Okay. So we take generally 0.3 milligram gram of pudina leaves, which gives us around 0.9 milligram of DNA at the end. So that is how it is. So you start with how much of the pudina leaves and what all dilutions you did in order to extract the DNA will give you the amount of DNA that you have in the form of pellet. Okay. And then you can also measure the purity of the DNA with the help of UV spectrophotometer, and also you can use the UV method to determine the how much amount of the DNA I have extracted and what is the purity of that DNA, whether it is 100% pure or whether it is little bit contaminated with the RNA or some contamination can also be determined by gel electrophoresis. So if we discuss about the practical in coming days, then we can talk in detail about it. And I will explain you all through the protocol, because it is okay to discuss about the practical in these lectures, online lectures, because as soon as we start the lab, maybe we can just run through the experiments as soon as possible. So this I just explained you guys about the extraction of DNA, and we do measure how much amount of DNA we got from the starting material that we had taken. So so 0.5 milligram is a very small amount of DNA. So if radio labeled can detect that much, means that means uh, this particular method of radio labeling is very sensitive. Okay. So high sensitivity means that low concentration of probe target hybrid can be detected. So even if कम concentration में hybridization हुआ है, whenever you have less amount of DNA, उसमें भी अगर hybridization होता है and your probe is radio labeled, then also still you can go ahead and detect that exactly if I have got that particular sequence that I'm looking for with the help of the probe. Okay, so it's a very sensitive method. Radio labeling is a very sensitive method. Non-radioactive labels. So these are harmless than radio labels and do not require dedicated rooms, glasswares and equipments or staff monitoring, etc. But they are not generally as sensitive. So radio label बहुत sensitive है, they are not sensitive. For some examples are biotin. So this label can be detected using avidin or streptavidin, which have high affinities for biotin. So basically, you will be labeling the nucleotides. You will be labeling the nucleotides with this biotin. Okay, and then when you just add streptavidin in that, the biotin and this avidin will have reaction and will give you some color. So these are what non-radioactive labels. So basically you will be having label nucleotides which are labeled with biotin. So these biotin is nothing but enzyme. So it is like enzyme substrate kind of a reaction. Okay. So enzymes, the enzyme is attached to the probe, right? And its presence usually detected by reaction with a substrate, and that changes the color, and used in this way the enzyme is sometimes referred to as the reporter group. Example of enzyme used include alkaline phosphatase and horseshoe radius peroxidase. So these are the examples of the enzymes that are used, and biotin and avidin are the most common ones that are used. So I think we were going. I think we have used ELISA kit. Have you guys done the HEP ELISA in the lab? Yes, right? In the second semester? Yes or no? Yes. So in that also we used step biotin and step avidin complex only, right? If you guys remember, the antibodies were labeled by biotin, and that is when we got that yellow color turning into the purple one. If we have antibodies labeled antibodies are bound or not. So if you guys remember that, it will be easy for you to understand. So that comes under the non-radioactive label part. Okay. Then chemiluminescence is, in this method, chemiluminescent chemicals attached to the probe are detected by their light emission using the luminometer. Yes. So it is basically what we have in the lab that detects the colored compound. I forgot that little box we had. One is the UV spectrophotometer that you can use, and another one colorimeter. Yes, so you can use colorimeter in this case, where if you put at particular wavelength, it will be giving you some color, yeah, some detection of the material. So simple procedure like a colorimeter. So if you have a probe labeled and if it is getting attached, then it will be emitting the light at that particular frequency. Okay. So then fluorescence, chemicals attached to the probe fluorescent under UV light, and this type of label is usually especially useful for the direct examination of microbiological or cytological specimens under the microscope. A technique known as fluorescent in situ hybridization, that is FISH, is very known. So I have actually performed this procedure in the transfection. एक तो रहता है ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन रहता है और एक रहता है ट्रांसफेक्शन. So transfection is basically nothing but inserting the DNA directly into the animal cell या फिर mammalian cell culture. ठीक है. So DNA of interest has to be inserted into the cell lines directly. So that is what is called as in situ hybridization. So basically, you will be having the fluorescently labeled DNA, and you will allow those cells to get when some reaction will happen, which will forms the pores on the cell wall of the animal cells or the mammalian cells in the tissue plate culture, and then the labeled DNA will then travel through those pores and target the DNA, try to get in what you say get incorporated with the DNA which is already present in that cell. So basically whether transfection सक्सेसफुल हुआ है कि नहीं, वो देखने के लिए सबसे बेस्ट टेक्निक है फ्लोरोसेंटली लेबल्ड DNA molecules या फिर न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स. Because मैंने ट्रांसफेक्शन प्रोसीजर इन विट्रो परफॉर्म किया inside the hood cabinet or everything, but how will I know whether the DNA I'm trying to insert directly or asking that DNA to get directly interacted with the DNA of the cell, whether it is successful or not? You just have to look that plate under the microscope. अगर उसमें से fluorescent दिख रहा है, then you can say that my procedure of transfection is successful, because you can see the fluorescent green color, fluorescent red color, fluorescent pink color directly under the microscope. So that way you can target some receptors also, some proteins also that you're looking for. So you just have to label that particular enzyme या फिर that protein, and then just let it be in the reaction where the cells are there. And then if there is a complementary receptor या फिर complementary enzyme that is present on that cell, it will get bind, and if you see it under the microscope, you can also see the fluorescent light. So it's a simple procedure. You take the cell line, you wash it, you allow the transfection to happen, you allow the reaction to happen with the fluorescently labeled compound that you are asking, with the substance which will be going and binding to particular receptor enzyme or is going to get incorporated into the DNA directly. Then accordingly you will get the reaction. Then you allow it to get hybridized for 2 to 3 hours, and then again you wash it in order to wash off the fluorescently labeled substances which are not getting which have not attached to the receptor enzyme or to the DNA. And then you go and watch that plate of yours under the microscope. I understand that it's very difficult for you to understand, but if there is any video of fluorescent in situ hybridization, I'll definitely upload it in our material. But yeah, this is the most famous method to be used nowadays for detection purpose. Very important, very useful. If you ever work in a molecular diagnostic lab, you will come across this method very frequently. Then we'll talk about the antibodies in next session, because we have less than 1 minute remaining. I hope you guys have understood. If there are any doubts, please let me know, and you can also keep them to yourself. In the second session, maybe we can discuss about it. Okay. So I'm signing off for now. Are we fine till here, everyone? Razina, are we fine till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then I'll see you in the afternoon session.